Hello everyone, my name is Brendan Marr, that noise here is my lawyer. And welcome to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast. Today I'd like to indulge in a bit of speculation. But as I'm always reminded, speculate responsibly. These are not things that I think need to happen, or things that are like, I won't like the movie unless these things happen. This is more just speculation of what we might see. Before we get to the main speculation, which will be if Snoke has a connection to Palpatine, or vice versa, let me mention a few things. I was thinking about this new character who looks like a First Order officer named General Pride, who will be played by the great Richard E. Grant. Now, the name got me thinking. There is a historical event called Pride's Purge. Thomas Pride was a military leader in the English Civil War. He was among the men responsible for the execution of King Charles I after he was deposed, and later was responsible for what's called Pride's Purge. I'm not sure if this happened before or after the death of Charles I, but I know that Pride removed from Parliament those members who did not agree with him and the others on his side. Basically a coup d'etat. So that got me thinking. Now, obviously it's spelled differently. Well, maybe not obviously so, but it's spelled differently, the names. But I begin to wonder if this General Pride in The Rise of Skywalker will play a similar role and be part of a coup d'etat. Perhaps a coup d'etat against Kylo Ren. But we do also know, as I said, that this Thomas Pride was also one of those who dethroned Charles I. So either way, I don't know. I'm thinking that General Pride, it's going to have something to do with maybe removing Kylo Ren from power. And I wonder if there's a historical parallel there. But the other thing I thought of is when Kylo Ren basically forces Rey to admit who her parents are in The Last Jedi, it's very interesting because Kylo had claimed to Rey that he had seen in her mind, particularly when they touched hands, he had seen her cast. So he claimed, and basically the scene is, he was saying what Rey already kind of knew to be true, as opposed to any knowledge that he has of himself. But how much of that has been twisted, I don't know. I really don't want them to suddenly say, ta-da, Rey's parents are somebody important. But maybe there's more to the story, and I think it's been said there's more to the story. But I don't want them to suddenly make her parents anyone of importance. I think that what the story does with Rey is demonstrate that it doesn't matter where you come from, you can still be a great hero. But I didn't realize till the other day that Kylo Ren is only telling her what he saw in her mind. Or at least he claims to, and Rey seems to know that what he's saying is true. Because it's not what he's saying. He's only saying what he saw in her own mind. But maybe that's been twisted around a little bit. We don't really know. Okay, so with those things out of the way, let's jump into our main topic today. Is there a connection between Supreme Leader Snoke and Emperor Palpatine? Now, as I am fond of doing in my podcast, I am only going to refer to what we know from the films. Not from any supplemental material, because in my mind, unless it's on film, it only exists in its own little world and not the definitive story of Star Wars. As much as they may claim otherwise over at Lucasfilm. So, it does not seem that Snoke is a Sith. Now, this has never been said on screen. There have been many, many, many people outside of it who have been saying he's not a Sith, he's not a Sith, he's not a Sith. Until we know that for sure on film, I'm not going to dismiss the possibility that he is a Sith. They may claim it. JJ may say it, Pablo Hidalgo may say it. Everybody may say it to the high heavens, but unless it's said on film, I still think it's entirely possible that he is a Sith. Or in the tradition of the Sith. Or, perhaps the Sith were defeated by Anakin and with the death of Emperor Palpatine, and maybe, that was the end of the Sith. But until we get that for sure, I'm still going to entertain the possibility. Now, this begs the question, how in the world can Anakin have defeated the Sith if Palpatine is still around in some way? Well, to that I don't really know. I think that it's more of a situation of, I don't think that Palpatine is alive in the flesh in The Rise of Skywalker. I believe that his spirit may still be alive. He may have figured out how to keep that there. And maybe fulfilling the prophecy is more complicated than we realize. Prophecies are not meant to be, I think, just looked at in one way. At least that's not how I see the prophecy of the Chosen One and the destruction of the Sith. So, that being said, what's the connection? Is there a connection between Palpatine and Snoke? Well, not that we know of, but I don't think it's out of the question. We don't know how old Snoke is, but he seems like he's fairly old. So he was probably around when Palpatine was around. Maybe they crossed paths at some point. Now, I'm going to break my own rule here for a second. In Timothy Zahn's book, Thrawn Alliances, Emperor Palpatine senses a disturbance in the Force in the unknown regions of the galaxy. Now, the story later concludes with this threat being these aliens that are planning an invasion of the galaxy, or something that are taken out of the picture. I don't know. I love Timothy Zahn, but I did not find that story very compelling. And I did not feel that these aliens were properly the true disturbance of the Force that Snoke was feeling. Or, I'm sorry, that Palpatine was feeling. Now, according to the literature, and like I said, this hasn't been said on film, but I'm just going to throw it out here for this. The Empire, after its defeat at the Battle of Jakku, the remnants of the Empire fled into the unknown regions. And 30 years later or so, re-emerged as the First Order, with Snoke as its boss. I assume that Snoke was the boss from the moment they emerged from the unknown regions. Something happened out there to make Snoke take over the remnants of the Empire. Maybe the disturbance of the Force that Palpatine felt was Snoke. Maybe. Now here's another one. I'm going to go out on a limb here, but this is entirely possible. I believe that maybe Palpatine did die, his body died, but his spirit survived. Maybe he has the ability to possess people. What if he had possessed Snoke? Now, was Snoke possessed in the scenes that we saw him in? He could have been, but I have a crazy theory here. We see that Snoke is physically very damaged. He's not exactly in good physical condition. You know, he's falling apart. He looks like he's had quite a few major injuries. What if at some point in the past his spirit, the spirit of Palpatine, had possessed Snoke? And maybe the possession takes its toll on the body. Maybe having the spirit of Palpatine within him made him the decrepit figure that he is. It's certainly a possibility, and maybe Snoke figured out how to get Palpatine out of his system. Maybe to even more damage to his body. And maybe that's why he's so haughty, because he's like, yep, I was possessed, and I got rid of the spirit on my own. Yay. Or maybe he was possessed by the spirit of Palpatine during the events of the movies. I don't know, but I suspect that there is something more going on. Now, The Rise of Skywalker may never say another word about Snoke. And I'm fine with that, because to tell you the truth, I was really intrigued by the character in The Force Awakens. I don't think his appearance in The Force Awakens was that interesting in the scenes. He says your typical cryptic bad guy stuff, yada yada yada. But the mystery there was very intriguing. So in The Last Jedi, when he was killed off, I was a bit disappointed. At first. Because I went, oh man, I wanted to see more of this guy. But I slowly began to think about it and realized, you know what? He was only in the way. If Kylo Ren needs to be the ultimate, or needs to be like the big man on campus, he needs to get rid of whoever is standing in his way. And he even says as much. Now, I find it a bit odd, and I'll end on this point, that Kylo Ren, when he's telling Rey to let the past die, he includes the Sith in his list of things that should die. Now, this is ironic, because we had never heard any mention of the Sith in the new movies until that point. And also, Kylo Ren, at least as of the events of The Force Awakens, reveres his grandfather, who was a Sith Lord. I don't know. I suspect that the Sith are involved somehow. And not just in the spirit of Palpatine. Like I said, until they definitively say that Snoke and Kylo Ren are not Sith in the movie, I'm still going to entertain the possibility. Because I really believe that the additional materials are not actually the real story of Star Wars, as much as the bigwigs of Lucasfilm claim that they are. So, let me know, do you think there's a connection between Palpatine and Snoke? My name is Brennan Barr. That noise you're hearing is my ventilator, and thank you for tuning in to Page Turners They Were Not, my Star Wars podcast, where we discuss a connection between these two men. May the Force be with you.